Hi, I'm Laura from House on the Hill, where you can find encouragement on your journey to raising a healthy homeschool family. And today's video is how to get started in homeschooling. I'm going to talk about 10 steps that you need to take to get the ball rolling, to get your new school year started and make it be fun and successful. So let's get started. Okay, so number one in our step plan is to set a vision. You want to create a vision for your homeschool because this is going to be your anchor throughout the year. This is where you talk about your purpose. Sit down with your spouse, go to the Lord in prayer. James 1:5 says that if we ask God for wisdom, He will give it to us, that He loves us and He wants us to have everything that we need for doing the jobs that He's called us to do. The great thing about this is that it serves as your anchor throughout the school year, throughout many years, and it might even change over the years. I have been homeschooling for about 10 years, and I go back to my vision all the time because you're going to have difficult days. So there's going to be times when you're going to need something to remind you of why you're doing what you're doing. What is all this for? Is it worth it? When you go back to this vision, it's going to keep you grounded. It's going to keep you going strong throughout that school year and many years to come. What we've included in our vision for our homeschool is to create lifelong learners. We want our children to not just memorize facts and be able to pass tests, but to become young adults that love learning. Young adults that learning is just a part of their life. It's fun for them, it's exciting for them, it's adventurous for them, so that as they go into young adulthood, they have families, they have jobs, they're always learning, they're always growing. So that's one part of our vision for our family. Another point in our vision for our family is to build strong family relationships between the siblings, between the parents and the child, also to build strong character. That's a big deal to us. We also focus on being able to build a spiritually, mentally, and physically healthy family. We want to live purposefully, and so the way we do that is we explore our gifts and talents, our children's gifts and talents, and we see what they're good at, and we let them dive into that and learn more about it and use it for the glory of God. So that's kind of our vision for our family in a nutshell. Okay, so the second part of setting your vision is to write it down. Put it in a journal, but also it's great to put it on a poster. Hang it up somewhere in your house where everybody can see it. If everybody is aware of what the end goal is, it's going to help you stay positive and stay confident in what you're doing, and it's going to remind you that this is worth it and you can do it. Okay, so number 2 on our steps to getting started in homeschooling is to know the laws for your state. One really easy way to figure this out is to go to the HSLDA website. They have a link on there that provides a picture of the United States, and you can click on your state and it will tell you exactly what your rules are, what your laws are for that state. The laws are going to include information such as the requirements for parent education. It will possibly include required subjects that need to be taught per grade level. Some states have requirements as far as how many hours the children are participating in school. So you want to know what your laws are for your state so that you do what needs to be done and you don't get in any trouble. Also, if your child is in public school, you do want to make sure you go to the school and withdraw them so that they know up front that your child is not coming back next year. Okay, so step 3 in getting started is to create your subject plan. As a new homeschool mom, this can be a little confusing maybe. There are all these different grade levels, and you just want to make sure that you're doing what is expected for that grade level. And so what I did when I first got started, I had been a public school teacher, but I still was so anxious about what if I'm forgetting a subject? What if I didn't think of something? So what I did is I went to the websites of some popular, well-known curriculum like Abeka or BJU Press or Alpha and Omega. I went to their websites and I looked on their scope and sequence. Now, a scope and sequence is basically just a big name for everything that the child does for that grade level, and they have it listed in order of how they do it, what comes first, what comes second, what comes third, and that was a great guide for me. Now remember, it is a guide, it's not something that you have to do. That's the wonderful thing about homeschooling, is that we have the freedom to pick and choose. So keep that in mind. Another great guide is to go to your local school district's website and look and see on their scope and sequence what they're teaching per grade level. One thing I don't want to forget to mention to you is that you don't need to teach every subject every day. You want to try to pick which days you're going to teach what subject, and that way things will go a little bit more smoothly and you won't be trying to cram so much into a day and everybody get frustrated. Okay, so number 4 on our steps is to choose your curriculum. So once you have your subjects chosen, what you want to teach for each child, then you can start looking at your curriculum. And the first thing you need to do in choosing a curriculum is to think about your child's learning styles. Learning styles are basically just how your child learns best. Some children learn best auditorily, by listening. Some children learn best by visual, what they see. Some children learn best by kinesthetic, like moving their body, getting their bodies involved in activities. That triggers certain parts of their brain and they're soaking up what you're teaching them. So you want to make sure you understand or take your best guess in the beginning of what your child's learning style is. And then you want to think about your philosophy. And I don't want to go too overboard here because this can get a little overwhelming, but there are philosophies in homeschool education. And basically all that a philosophy is a way for a parent to have a group to identify with, kind of a framework or some type of form of how they believe their children in their family will learn best. So some of the popular philosophies in the homeschooling world are Charlotte Mason, also classical education, unschooling. There's one that's fairly new called Wild and Free, and there's also an eclectic philosophy where basically you're kind of pulling what you like from each philosophy and kind of making it your own. And so those are some different things to choose from. And I'm going to put a link below to homeschool.com. They have a great document on their website that briefly goes through each of these philosophies so that you can read about them and you can decide, hey, that's me, that's my family. So there's different great advantages to the different philosophies, and you just have to decide what is the best fit for your family. And then once you've chosen your philosophy and you've kind of identified those learning styles, then what you want to do is do a search on the internet for the different curriculum that's out there. There are hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of different curriculum, so it can be overwhelming. But just type in the philosophy that you're interested in, the learning styles that you're interested in, and then you want to pick a curriculum that caters to those things that are a good fit for your family. Another great way to help you pick out your curriculum for the year is to go to a homeschool convention, because they have a room full of hundreds of curriculum vendors there. And you can go to each booth and you can look through what they have. You can flip through their pages, look at the diagrams and illustrations maybe for science, or you can look at their scope and sequence for their math and how they have their weeks laid out. You can look at a lot of the curriculums that are more hands-on, that include more tactile type learning. It gives you such a better idea of what the layout's going to look like, what the parent guide would look like, how the days are laid out, how the weeks are laid out. That can help you a lot to check it out. And then also another great way to help you choose curriculum is to join Facebook groups. I'm a member of several different Facebook groups, and then I have my own Facebook group at House on a Hill. And moms get on there and they ask questions about curriculum. So you want to get other moms' perspectives and maybe things that you hadn't thought of, and get feedback from other moms that have already been there and tried out the things that you're interested in. And then one key thing I want to say about curriculum is don't overbuy, especially when you're just getting started, because you go into homeschooling with your mind thinking it's going to go this one way, that your children are going to respond this certain way and they're going to like these certain things, but you don't really know until you get in there and you get going and you're on that path. Okay, and one last point in choosing your curriculum, you could also create your own. You can go to your list of subjects that you've already created for each student, and then just go out and look for things that look like it would fit your needs. You can find, especially for the younger years in elementary school, you can find the supplies that you need, the books that you need at your local store. Okay, so now we're at number 5. Number 5 is setting your rhythm. Now, most moms would think of this as setting their schedule, but I don't like to call it a schedule. In my past, schedules don't work for us, for me and my family. It just ends up in a bad day. If I have a hour by hour schedule, I get frustrated because there's interruptions, things have to be changed around, and then I think, oh no, failure, and we go downhill from there. So I don't have a schedule, I create a rhythm. And what that is basically just a routine. It gives structure to your day, but it also allows flexibility for things that come up, especially if you've got more than one child, things will come up. So keep that in mind. And in order to set your rhythm, what I would do to keep this simple, because I know a lot of moms, I get a lot of messages on my Facebook group about how do we set a schedule, what do we do? Because it seems a little overwhelming. But just to make things as simple as they can be, I suggest just getting a white piece of paper and write rhythm at the top, and then write down the things that are concrete in your day, things that are going to be there every day that aren't going to move. You have to eat breakfast, you have to eat lunch, you have to eat dinner. You might have a little one that needs a nap time, you might add that in there. So you put in those things that you know are concrete in your day, write those down in black marker, and then I suggest creating chunks. We have a morning time chunk. We have an instructional time chunk. So once you've decided what those chunks need to be, you can take your rhythm and you can just block them in here as you think would be the best for your family. And then as you get started, you might see that that instructional chunk that you put here after lunchtime was not a great idea. And you can move it up here and move something else down here. You're basically just ensuring that you're getting all those priorities met each day, but it really doesn't matter what order you get them done in. You want to be flexible. You want to make sure you also have a cutoff time, because if you don't have a cutoff time in your rhythm, then I'm going to tell you from experience, your school day will trickle into your evening, you're cooking dinner, you've got kids at the table still trying to finish up school, dad gets home from work, things get chaotic, and it's not a good situation. Whether you got all of your chunks done that day or not, set that cutoff time and move on into your afternoon flow, okay? Now I want to talk about instructional time for a second. For elementary school, you don't need more than 1 or 2 hours of instructional time a day. For middle school, it might be 2 to 3 hours of instructional time. And when I say instructional time, I'm talking about a time when you are actually sitting at a desk or a table with your child, and you two are working together, you're showing and modeling for them what needs to be done. And then for high school, it can be a little bit different because yes, they've got these big courses like biology and algebra 2 and all of this, but also they become much more independent learners by that time, especially if you've been homeschooling from the beginning. In my experience, it hasn't been quite as much as it is in the elementary grades. So keep that in mind when you're writing in your instructional time on your rhythm. Okay, so number 6 is to set your calendar. So what you want to do is basically just take your year-long calendar and lay it out in front of you. And I want you to think about, are we going to do year-round school, or are we going to do more of a public school schedule where they go in the fall, winter, and spring, and then have the summer off? And then once you've decided that, then what you want to do is think about holidays. How much time do you want to take off for your holidays? You might take a week at Thanksgiving, you might take 2 or 3 weeks at Christmas time, you might even take the whole month of December. I know some homeschool families that do that, and they have a whole month to do crafts and baking and buying Christmas gifts and all of that. It's your homeschool, you get to set the schedule. So be excited about that. Think about birthdays, think about vacations. We don't do school on kids' birthdays, and when you've got 5 kids, that's about a week's worth of no school when you look at your whole school year. You also want to think about field trip days. Put those in there. You might go once a month, maybe you actually go twice a month, but you definitely want to map those out so that you can plan accordingly. And then you want to think about how many weeks are in your curriculum. If you buy a box curriculum, all your subjects will have the same number of weeks. You might have 30 weeks for that curriculum. So you want to make sure you decide, okay, I want to start on this week, so let's count 30 weeks out through the year, taking into consideration those vacation weeks and all of that, and then it'll show you where you're going to end. But then also you can pull from different curriculums like we do. We use a different math curriculum than we do a history curriculum. Well, math might have a 30-week plan, and then my history might have a 36-week plan. So I just need to look at that and take that into consideration when I'm planning out my whole year and how many weeks need to be involved. But keep in mind, just because it has a 36-week plan doesn't mean that you have to do all 36 weeks. You're the mom, you're the teacher, you're the one who knows what's best for your kids and your family, so you can pull a week or 2 or whatever from that curriculum to make it work throughout the year with the schedule that you need to have for your family. Okay, so number 7 is creating your work area. Now I want to say up front, keep this simple, especially in the beginning, because you don't quite know yet what your child is going to prefer. So it could be something as simple as the kitchen table. It can also be setting up a desk in their room, maybe setting up a table in your formal, or if you have an extra guest bedroom, you could put a table in there and put your children around it. There are so many different choices that you can have, and I even have a child who has created her own little school nook. And so in her room, she has a corner of her room. She prefers to work on the floor with a clipboard when she's writing. And what she does is she's got all her pillows, all the things that make her happy in life are all surrounding her, and she sits with her blanket and she does her schoolwork there, and that's like her zone. That's where she is she can focus there, it makes her happy, and she gets her work done, and we're all happy. So be creative and think about that too. Also, your school doesn't have to take place inside these walls all the time. I want to encourage you to get outdoors. Use the outdoors, use your backyard, use your front yard, use your nearby park. We do this all the time, especially in the fall and the spring here where we live. We get out on our back patio, we have chairs, we have umbrellas, we sit under the umbrella and we'll do reading or math or something. We have a trampoline, and we do a lot of homeschooling on our trampoline and in our hammock. If you guys follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you've probably seen pictures of that. So take advantage of it. Don't sit cooped up in the house all the time when you don't have to. Okay, so number 8 is buy your supplies. So you've set up your work area, you kind of have an idea of where you're going to be doing your instructional time, but you also want to think about all the supplies that you're going to need, and even for that work area, depending on what it is. For example, if the child is going to want to work on the couch or in their little nook that they've created, a clipboard is going to be a necessity. But some other things that have been really beneficial for our homeschool is a whiteboard. We have a big one, but we also have the small ones that the child can put in their lap and use the different colored markers with. We use that a lot for handwriting or math. Some other things that you obviously need are basic school supplies, pens, pencils, highlighters. Don't forget the sharpeners, and have plenty of them. That's something that goes missing a lot around our house. You want to have your arts and crafts supplies. So make sure that you're also picking up manipulatives when you see them sometimes in the dollar bins at Target or in the clearance section at Walmart. Anything that's hands-on and educational. Like I found this at the local grocery store on sale, and it's just an ABC puzzle, and all my little kids, as they're going through kindergarten and first grade, they love this. It keeps them busy while I'm working with the other kids. Also, for younger kids, the Usborne books are awesome. I mean, you could do your whole first grade curriculum or second grade curriculum probably with a lot of these books. Also, we have nature journals. All of our kids have a nature journal, and when we go outside, they draw pictures of the things that they see. They each have to pick something to draw a picture of. Like this one is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just basically a picture of a spider on a leaf. So sketchbooks or nature journals are awesome. Also, these come in handy, the packets of note cards for my older kids. And then we've got math manipulatives that these were actually provided by our math curriculum, Math UC, but we've got a big bin of those. Also, something that's awesome, been very beneficial because we've got 5 kids doing school, is these book boxes. I have one for each child, and they keep all of their schoolwork, not schoolwork, but they keep all of their books in there so that they know where they're at when it's time to do that subject, and there's no searching the house for them. Okay, so some other supplies that you want to look for are basic bookshelves, collect books as much as you can, especially the classics, a library card. I don't know what we would do without ours. Make sure that you get some maps that you can hang up somewhere in your house where they can see the United States very clearly, all the states, but they can also see the world in a world map. And then, of course, a computer for typing up their papers or doing their research. Also, you want to include a 3-hole puncher for the papers and that you can put their work into a binder. That's kind of the basics of the dire necessities, I think, for a homeschool to make your homeschool successful. Okay, so number 9 is to evaluate and reevaluate as the year goes on. Go back to your vision that you created and ask yourself, is what we're doing working toward that vision? Evaluate your child's attitudes. Are they frustrated? Are they worn out? Are they burned out? If so, maybe you need to make some kind of a change. Just be flexible and be willing to make adjustments as necessary, because that's what's going to make you successful in the end, by the end of the school year, is that you have taken it week by week and you've said, okay, you know, we're going great, the kids are learning a lot, I'm seeing great output from them, but you want to make sure that they're comprehending what they're learning, and that everything that you've set in place is working toward that vision. And if it's not, make a change. Okay, so number 10 is knowing where you can go for help. You want to have this ready to go ahead of time, because when you get in a situation when you need help, you don't want to be frustrated and flustered and be like, I don't know what to do. So already maybe make up in your journal somewhere, list out some different methods of going to get help or some resources that you can go to. So I want to make some suggestions to you. I mentioned before the Facebook groups. You can check out our homeschool group, House on a Hill. Anytime you get into a difficult situation, type it up there and somebody in our group can help you. We've got a lot of veteran homeschool moms there. Another way to get help is to do a search for a local homeschool group in your community. They might meet once a month. The moms might get together and kind of bounce ideas off of each other. So look for a local homeschool group. Also, I said before, I'm going to post the HSLDA link down below. It's a wonderful resource for looking up all kinds of information, from getting started all the way through having a high school graduate. And then also there's a website called Cathy Duffey's Reviews. It helps out a lot with curriculum choices. Last but not least, pray for wisdom. Remember, don't forget to go to God and ask Him for His input, because He cares about this family more than you do, even as the mom, believe it or not. And so James 1:5, as I mentioned before, says that God will give us the wisdom that we need. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't forget to ask, because He knows your children better than you do, and He knows what plans He has for them. Okay, so that's our 10 steps in how to get started in homeschooling. I hope it was helpful. And remember, just relax. God has made children since the beginning of time to be natural learners. It's not until just recently that we've created this compulsory school where children have to go to school and be educated. Your children will be fine, and you're going to do a great job. Remember to keep it fun. Remember to stay creative. I'm going to put a link down below for my frequently asked questions for new homeschool moms ebook. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're a homeschool mom and you want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe so you get a notification each time I have a new one. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck.